The Never Quit Podcast.
When I started working for public service company, I came into daily contact with 3 of Steve's great uncles, his grandfather's brothers, Emmett, Overton, and Sam. Wow, oh my God.
The Never Quit Podcast, sponsored and hosted by Quotes Jungle, with your host, Quote.
Welcome to another edition of the Never Quit Podcast. Here live in the studio, I have Steve Mcmillon with me. How you doing, Steve?
Doing absolutely phenomenal, having a beautiful day today.
Awesome. Tell the people a little bit about yourself.
Steve Mcmillon II. I'm a father, husband, son, entrepreneur, definitely very involved in the community as well. And I own a shoe brand called Concrete Eden.
Let's talk about concrete. Tell us what your obsession is with shoes and why you give so much back to the community.
Man, with Concrete Eden, honestly, it actually started off as a dance team back in like the early 2000s. And we were just doing this to give other young adults an outlet. So with that outlet, on Friday nights, we'd be out there dancing, session, and battling. And then I always had a gift as far as art. I've been drawing literally probably since I was in 3rd grade. And I just remember I'm like, I wanted to start to do T-shirts. And I had no idea how I was going to do it. And so I can't even remember the website that I was doing the T-shirts on and trying to figure it out. And I made a couple decent T-shirts, and I started doing that. And then I just started finding out that I had a gift and a talent for just creating art on like clothing. And it's crazy because at 11 years old, I had a dream of working for Nike, and I wanted to get an endorsement deal just like any other athlete. And I was there's people are people watchers. Me, I'm a shoe watcher. It doesn't matter if you got Crocs on, sandals, Jordans, Versace, whatever. I'm always just looking at people's shoes. And I wouldn't even consider myself a sneakerhead at all. I just love looking at people's shoes, looking at the different textures, styles. And so it was probably about 2016, I started learning how to actually make a shoe. And so I'm like, man, this is a dream come true. I don't care if anybody ever buys the shoes. I'm still going to do this just because I love doing it. And so I've been doing this for a couple of years, and officially put it underneath my Concrete Eden label probably about 3 years ago. And it honestly, it's been phenomenal, and I'm just excited for what's next in the journey.
Was there a particular thing that led you to just concentrate on shoes first? I know you briefly said that the hip-hop and the dancing and the group and the stuff led you to that. What was there anything that centered and targeted just on shoes?
I felt like I had to rebrand myself because there was a time and point I moved to San Diego, and this is when Concrete Eden was kind of almost like a music label and T-shirt company at the same time. And so with that, when I was out there in San Diego with my mentor, he's an online marketer. He's made a lot of money as far as doing what he does in e-commerce and consulting. And so literally I went out there to literally learn from him. And I was there for about 2.5 years. And while I was there, I was looking at it, I was like, man, I love the name of my brand. I love even our branding that we have, but I felt like that it wasn't exactly what I wanted it to be. And so I kind of stepped back for like a couple of years. It was like maybe 3-4 years. And even when my family was like, you need to get back to Concrete Eden, and that was so phenomenal, I'm like, yeah, I just want to be an online marketer right now because I had no idea what I wanted to do with it. But then as I started learning the shoes and just doing it for myself and even making, doing some custom consulting deals and whatnot for like either small businesses or just people who wanted their favorite artists on the shoe, I started looking at them like, man, I actually really love doing this. It's even a stress reliever for me to actually design. And so I was like, why don't I just go ahead and just really launch a brand? But with branding, I knew that I didn't want the focus to be the clothing.
Mm-hmm.
I want the clothing to be kind of the accessory to the shoes. I want people to focus on the shoes and not be like, oh, they're a clothing company. I'm like, no, we're a shoe brand company. So I wanted the focus to be the shoes first, establish that, and establish myself in the market as far as with the shoes, and then have the clothing as an upsell. So that's why I did it specifically for branding purposes, to focus on the shoes first.
After telling me all that, describe yourself in the image and what you were going for before you did this transformation to rebrand yourself. You said you were into music. Go a little bit deeper into that.
I had a couple of buddies that have been working in music for a long time, and I've been writing poetry probably since I was 13 years old. My sister, I'm going to give her a quick shout out real quick. She's literally been a prodigy writer since she was 7 years old. She had her first poem published at 8 years old. So she's just phenomenal.
What's her name? The people need to know her name.
Sierra Hunter.
How can they find Sierra? I'm putting you on the spot.
She's definitely on Twitter. That's the majority, because I think Twitter's like the book writing platform to go to. She's on Twitter. I think it's Ink Press, and she's on Instagram as well. She will actually be releasing her first poetry book, I'm pretty sure this year. She's actually already has a novel written. It's like 3 sagas, and literally, to be honest, it's like Harry Potter for Black people. Like, it's something I've never even heard of. Like, it's genius. I'm gonna be honest, it's complete genius. So yeah, she's probably gonna be a little like, Steven, what are you doing? But yeah, that's my big sister. She was a big influence as far as just who I've become over time, and her teaching me about writing. And of course, I love Tupac, I love Nas, just because of their lyricism. And so I started writing, and I was dabbling with music a little bit, and it's actually something I wanted to do. But when I was looking at my gifts and my talents, I seen that there were like some of my close friends. One was great at producing. Another one, they were just phenomenal artists. And I was like, you know what? I'm the guy that kind of has like the administrative gift, the business gift. I am really great as far as having like a clear vision in how to get there. I'm great at marketing. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to still write, and I still want to make music just for myself. But I'm going to be the guy to help these guys out. And we ended up getting some pretty good momentum just in, I would probably say, the first 4 or 5 months of us just working as a team and unit. But then I had the opportunity to go to San Diego for my mentor. He literally blew up. It was like 6 months doing e-commerce and whatnot. He ended up becoming a multi-millionaire. He's only about a year or two older than me. And we've been really good friends over the years. So I was just like, he's asking me to come out here. I needed some confirmation. I was like, God, I need some confirmation to go, because I'm a single dad as well. My son's here. I have to be in his life. Like, there's like no doubt about that. I'm like, if I can't be in his life, then I don't care what somebody's trying to offer me. I'm not doing it. So I felt like I got the confirmation that I needed, multiple confirmations, and even I was able to fly back once a month to come and see him. And so everything just worked out. But I was in San Diego. I was just kind of sitting back and listening to everything. I was watching what he did, everything that he did, how he marketed, his strategies, his tactics. And I just picked up so much and learned so much within the time that I was there. And so that was kind of like the point as far as I guess you would say, my transfiguration, as far as figuring out who I am, figuring out my gifts and talents, and how it could propel me into the future. So literally, like, it was training grounds for me. And when he first hired me on it to his company, I went from being the customer service guy to literally being the face of the company. So I elevated really fast, and he trusted me with everything. And even to this day, we still stay in contact a little bit. And he is always giving me tips or something that he sees with the brand as well. So it's literally felt like a movie. Like, I literally was living a movie just in the past 10 years of my life, going from being messing with music to being a krumper to being an entrepreneur and, being a coach. And, we'll see as far as what else I'll be able to become over time. Hopefully I'll come out with the book that I've been working on for the past 3-4 years as well.
You said you were a krumper. Talk to the people about what kind of dance style that was.
Man, krump. It's honestly, I still love to do it to this day. I don't do it as much just because my back hurts and my knees hurt. The best way I could explain krump is like the street ballet. It's the ballet for the streets, and it's an absolute beautiful art form. But it's extremely powerful. You could say it's even extremely aggressive. Every movement that we hit is you're gonna feel it, and so a lot of people will say, "Oh, you guys look so angry when you guys dance." I'm like, no, this is actually just an expression of what I'm feeling internally, and it could be happy, it could be sad, it could be angry, it could be honestly whatever, excited. But I ended up picking up this dance probably in around 2007 from seeing Stomp the Yard. And I was like, man, this movie, what is this dance? Like, I've got to learn this. So when I first started out, I looked absolutely ridiculous. I looked absolutely goofy because I had no dance background at all. And then I'll probably say about a year and a half later, I ended up becoming the top dog in Colorado for krump. And so even now to this day, just from the people that I've trained and the movement that we started out here with concrete and then krumping, we pretty much solidified a krump movement that's known around the world in Colorado now. More so because of a guy that I trained up. His name is Dylan Schneebeck, and he was literally like one of my students. And so he's literally the leader of the krump movement in Colorado, and he's traveled around the world and whatnot. And he's always giving me a shout out. He's like, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for, we call it big homie. He's pretty much the mentor. My big homie, Steve Mcmillon. And so it's, if you've never seen a krump session, you've absolutely got to. It's just an experience. It is an absolute experience. Even sometimes when it gets crazy, it's almost like a mosh pit when somebody's just doing these unbelievable moves. It's exciting. It's so much fun.
I'm very familiar with it, but I'm going to try to paint a picture for the people who may not be, and maybe you'll agree with me. You say you're a poet. Would you say that that was a form of therapy when you're dancing like that and you're speaking without speaking?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's probably why you connect so much. You know what I'm saying? Because when you were saying that and you were describing that, that's what I was visualizing when you were talking. Is that why people do chants when they do it sometimes, you think? Or is it just silence and moving in the body?
I think when they're doing like the chants and the hype ups and whatnot, it's almost to even encourage that person to get what's sitting inside of them. Like, I'm a big person as far as giving hype. I'm like, you'll never see me being one of those guys that are just looking like, oh, yeah, oh, that's cool. No, I'm right there, right beside you. I'm cheering you on to make sure that you're giving your best and that you're not going to be so much in your head as far as what's going on or are they hyping me up or not. I'm like, no, forget the hype. I'm going to be right here cheering you on and say, let's go. Like, you going to be tight either way. Let's just do it. Don't care what anybody else is looking at, what they're saying or doing. Just do it. Do what feels good to you. And so, yeah, man. You definitely got me excited and my passion going.
Tell us about the real Bruce Wayne.
Real Bruce Wayne. It's crazy how I ended up coming up with that concept. I remember I was on tour in 2016. I think we were in North Carolina during the time, and I was just sitting. I was listening to my mentor speak, and I started thinking. I was like, man, real Bruce Wayne. I was like, because I'm a big guy. I love Batman. Like, Batman is my superhero. That's the guy. I'm like, he's that guy because he has no superpowers at all. He's a regular dude dressed up in a Batman suit, just knocking jokers out. So when I was looking at it, I was like, real Bruce Wayne, that's me, because I have a talent and I have a gift. And my talent and my gift is my superpower. But I don't have super speed, I don't have super strength, none of that. I was athletic, but I'm just a regular human being. I have weaknesses and I have flaws just like everybody else. But my gift and my talent is what I get to share to the world and where I get to change people's lives. And so as I was sitting there, I started coming to just going down like a rabbit trail of this concept as far as everybody can be the real Bruce Wayne if they actually wanted to. But it's how committed are you to your mission? Like, your purpose and your mission in this world, how committed are you to it? And how committed are you to elevating yourself and continuing to build in your gifts and your skills? Or you're just trying to live, just live life to be living it. I'm like, no, that's not me. I'm a person who's always trying to perfect himself, and that's definitely a place where, for me, I feel like Bruce Wayne, he literally mastered so many things as far as being a detective, being a master of arts, being a master of science, being a master of martial arts, and all these other things. And he was on a continuous mission to perfecting his craft and changing people's lives. And so that's where I kind of like took on that concept as far as being the real Bruce Wayne, that everybody has that real Bruce Wayne inside of him. But are you going to allow it to come out? Because in the comic books, of course, you see Bruce Wayne has flaws. He's kind of a mental case, just to be honest. And that's where I feel like we all have those moments where we have mental attacks and battles with depression or anxiety. But it's like when you see him, he never gives up. I would say that his best power that he has is his power to persevere and continue to endure and continue to go through those dark times and still come out on top. So that's why I kind of like took on, I guess you would say, that concept and that mentality.
So would you say you're a living superhero?
Absolutely.
That's a perfect answer. That's a perfect. Starting a business isn't easy. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely agree.
What makes you keep pursuing them?
Part of it is that I've learned that I've had a passion for marketing. I absolutely love it. I love marketing. I love sitting down with people and other people's businesses, and they give me the concept or their idea or their vision as far as with their business, and being able to actually help cultivate that dream that they have. But it's funny because I stumbled into entrepreneurship as well. I was a quiet guy in high school. People always gravitated around me, but I think it was because I was just a really good athlete. But I never thought about owning my own business, to be honest. In high school, I was like, I just want to play ball. I want to be a football player. And even when I went to my freshman year of college, I wanted to study like graphic design or being a personal trainer. And the graphic design didn't last long because I was like, I don't want to do this. And then I decided to do exercise science. And as I was going through just that time and being the leader of this krump team, and from the many stages that we were performed on, I just started it was like I started getting a revelation as far as my gifts and my talents. And I'm like, okay, they put me as the leader for this purpose. Okay, why am I leader? Because I got this talent. I'm administrative. I know how to bring people together. I have a clear vision. I'm always having clear visions about things. I was like, okay, so, all right, you know what? I think I have a little bit of an entrepreneur gift. And my dad was the one that was actually pulling it out of me. He was the one that was continuously talking to me because he has an entrepreneur gift as well. And so he was just always just kind of pulling out, giving me these small golden nuggets, giving me these tips, like even from the smallest of things, saying, Stephen, from the smallest thing that you do matters because it's going to affect the bigger things. You have to take care of the small things to be able to take care of the larger things if you want to have the larger things in life. And some of just these small tips is even as far as being an entrepreneur. And, man, honestly, just being able to have your own business, see the money coming in as well, something that you actually love to do, it's like a dream come true, to be honest. But I love the hustle. I love working hard. I love grinding. Like, I was literally in the shower today just talking about this, even with myself, as far as that for me, designing, marketing, doing anything that has to do with my business, even this, I look at it as training for the moment that there's 5 seconds on the clock and I got to shoot the shot to win the game for the team. And so literally from my athletic mindset, I've taken that and even put it into pretty much almost anything that I do, whether it's being an entrepreneur, spiritual, being a dad, being a husband. I'm always on a journey to better myself. And so even in my business, I'm always looking like, okay, how can I better my skills in marketing? And as I'm doing that, as I'm learning and even doing it, I'm bettering that skill to be the best entrepreneur that I could be, because I have this thing where I want to give my all. But by the time that I'm dead and gone and my legacy is continuing and I got to face God, that I literally put everything out on the table, that I just like to try to ball out like my heroes, like Kobe, LeBron, Barry Sanders, that they couldn't be stopped. They could not be stopped. And that's how I would love to be viewed, as far as just for my wife, see me being the man that I am, and from the world seeing me being the entrepreneur and father and husband that I am. That this guy, no matter who tries to come against him, that he can't be stopped no matter what.
Talk to the people how important it is to be a father to you.
And people are going to think that I'm crazy when I say this. But literally, I've been looking forward to being a father since I was 6 years old. And a lot of people, oh, that's crazy. You shouldn't be thinking of that. And I'm like, why not? It's what I call, being a father is one of the treasures of the world. Like, there is no amount of money that can measure up to the journey as far as even being a father. And the dope thing is that I have a great dad. My dad's probably one of my best friends. I'm named after the guy. But literally, I felt like he gave me identity. He showed who I could be. He gave me this thing where I call the warrior mindset, that literally it was almost like I caught it. And he didn't really teach it to me. I just kind of caught it from just being around him. And he was into cartoons, so he watched the cartoons with us. He would literally be involved of all of our sports, anything that we were passionate about, he was involved in. And so with just having that type of relationship with my dad, I wanted to have that same thing. I remember I was just like, man, God, before this world ends up blowing up, let me be able to experience what it's like to be a dad. And May 22nd, 2011, I had my son, Steve Mcmillon III, and literally it's been an absolute joy. Like, there's the tough times. It's hard. It's especially hard because at one time and point I was a single parent dad. But just holding this thing that literally he's almost like the exact image of you. But at the same time, he's his own being, and that you're the one that's supposed to cultivate his dreams and his aspirations. You're not supposed to make him just like you, but you're trying to cultivate the best into him. Man, there's nothing like it. I mean, about 30, 40 of my gray hairs are from my kids. They definitely took my hairline back, got me looking like LeBron. But, man, there's honestly nothing like it. Like, literally, I love being a dad. I love being able to goof around with them. I love to be able to joke with them. I love the moments where I have to sit them down and have to have those serious talks with them. Because at the end of the day, when I'm not around them, I'm always hearing great things about my kids, saying that he's so respectful, she's so caring, she's so loving, they're such a joy. And I'm like, man, I'm doing something right. Out of more than anything, more than concrete and more than anything else, if my wife is happy with me and my kids are good, that's all that matters.
He's designing his own shoe, correct? Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So, man, I was teaching my son, like, we would do summer projects. So one year I was trying to have him do his own comic book. And then when he was old enough, I think it was last year, I was like, man, let's do a shoe. He's like, okay. And so majority of the work I was doing because I had to show him. But he was giving his ideas. He's like, okay, I want to do this color. I want to do this. I want to do that. And so I was already trying to, even though it was fun for him, I was already trying to build a perspective for him as far as having multiple skills, that it's not just about football, man. Football's going to end one day for you. It ends for everybody. Even Tom Brady, even though he's trying to keep going, it's got to stop one day. And, like, when it does stop, what are you going to do now? Like, you could coach, you could be a agent, you could start your own business. You could do whatever you want, but it's going to end one day. So when it ends, what are you going to do? Because I remember that feeling. And so I started teaching him how to design the shoe, and I would even challenge him like, okay, we made it. We made the actual product. But now, how are we going to get it to people? He's like, And so I'm like, that's the most important thing is that, yeah, I wanted to do this design with you and I wanted you to do it. But the most important thing is that we have to come up with a marketing strategy because I believe that marketing is literally the DNA of just business in general. Like, people want to have this phenomenal product, all that. You could have the cure to cancer, but if you do not have a way to get it to the people that got cancer, I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but it's like nobody's going to ever know about it. And so I tell the same thing to music artists all the time. Same thing. You may have the dopest album of all time that could ever be created, but if you do not have a way to get it to people and get it to that specific audience, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how great the product is. Of course, you did it. That's good for you. But if you're really trying to be serious and make money from it, then you have to have a way to get it to. And so that's why I'm so passionate about marketing too. So I've already started to teach him the ins and outs as far as small things that he'll understand as being an entrepreneur and being able to create his own shoe, because he may take over the company one day once I'm too old and I'm gone, or he may do his own thing with his other gifts and talents. But just being able to equip him, showing that it's first possible to do, and just giving him the skill. I have no idea what he's going to do with it, but either way, I know he's going to be changing people's lives regardless.
Do you offer that kind of service to other people, or is that something that you teach or offer to the general public to design their own shoe?
Actually, I do. So especially with, like, let's say people want to do like a custom shoe, I do have it available as far as people could go online and click the email and message me exactly what they want. Or if they actually want to learn, I do charge for that. I charge for those services to actually teach people the ins and outs as far as building a shoe brand, because it's not easy. It's not easy. I believe, honestly, no business is easy, but it is extremely difficult. This is probably one of the most difficult businesses that I've done. Clothing, honestly, I felt like I got it down. I feel like it is easy to be able to do that, especially when you're doing specific niche marketing. But it's still difficult to be able to do as well. But I really believe that the shoe business is one of the hardest things I've ever done. I'm like, man, I'm continuously learning. Like, I went from when we were doing drop shipping and e-commerce with my mentor, we were seeing $1,000 days, $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 days. I remember one day it was like $30-some thousand in one day just from drop shipping. And so we were just literally just finding products at the wholesale price on like AliExpress, putting it on our website, marketing it up, and running ads to it through Facebook and Instagram and Google. And so we were used to seeing that. But when you have a shoe, it is not that easy, because that's what I was used to. But then I had to shift my mindset from drop shipping to an actual brand. Like, some of the things that we sold was the black facial mask that a lot of the women were using and whatnot. We were the first ones to do that. And then there was a whole bunch of other drop shippers that started doing it after we talked about it at one of our masterminds. And we did stuff like anime, Dragon Ball Z. I was always teaching on Dragon Ball Z. And a bunch of other stuff too. But going from drop shipping, having a drop shipping mindset where, after honestly a couple of weeks, you should actually expect to actually make sales. Going from that into building a brand from the ground up, and knowing that you do fit in a niche, but especially with my niche is extremely difficult. But a lot of people quit. Even some of the people that I've taught, I'd probably say about 95% of people, honestly, they quit because they either felt like they're not making enough money, or they felt like that it's too overwhelming, or whatever their reasons, honestly. But that's why there's only so many people, I would even say, in the world that actually become successful, because you have to be committed to the dream. I do believe in taking breaks. I don't believe grind 24/7, just because you can burn yourself out. But at the same time, it's like, what tactics do you have to keep yourself going and continue to persevere to chase this dream that you say that you have? Because if it is truly your dream and it's really, really your dream, you're not going to quit. You're going to continue to fight for it tooth and nail. Or maybe you just didn't really love it that much as much as you thought you loved it. I see people quit all the time, and I'm like, man, that's cool. You might have just liked it, and that's okay. That's okay just to like it. But if you really love it, then feel what you're feeling. Allow yourself to feel what you feel. Get up the next day. Get back on the horse. Like, people, when they see me, even at the crump sessions, dance and whatnot, every now and again, they're like, oh, man, you should really get back into it. You're so dope. You must have been tight since you started. And I was like, no, I sucked. I was terrible. My whole family was clowning me like, boy, what are you doing? Stop that. But literally in 1 year's time, again, they ended up becoming my biggest fans. So they went from being haters to fans, and I've seen so many people become haters to fans. And that's why I was saying, just like being committed and being consistent, there's so much fruits of that labor that you could just earn if you just stay consistent. And I'm not saying that you have to go literally every day, but it's just over time that you're staying consistent, and then hopefully it does become an everyday thing. But it's like, you have to fall in love with the process, that you can't just expect it just to happen the next day or the next week or the next month, but just continue to stay consistent, and even evaluating as far as yourself, like, okay, this is where I was doing bad at. How can I do better? And this is where I'm succeeding, and these are the accomplishments. So you're not just always ragging down on yourself. This is just like everything that I'm saying is just literally my thought process and how literally I perceive life almost on the daily.
That's why I have you here. I'm here just to listen to people and let them tell their answers. I say that over and over. What is your most proud shoe thus far that you're proud of? Because you do a lot of stuff with charity, the community, your son, etc. If you had to narrow it down to one, which shoe would you say is it? Respectfully designed. You get what I'm saying?
Okay. Design-wise. Because I was going to say my wife.
You can say your wife.
Yeah, because she's probably the best thing to happen to me in my life, just in general. Like, when you have somebody that is willing and they're going to literally love you and accept you for who you are, but still be able to bring out the best in you, man, there's honestly nothing like it. There is nothing like it, and she knows that she is the treasure of my heart, literally, and that she's literally my heart molded into flesh. And so I appreciate her more than anybody could ever know, just because she knows me better than anybody, and she knows even when I'm in those down moments, those hard times, or where it's frustrating, I'm like, man, I want to quit. And she's right there. She's like, well, you can quit, but regardless, I'm with you. But at the same time, Steven, you know you're not going to quit. You know you love this too much. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. But as far as a project-wise, there's two specifically, but I think one is a little bit more closer to my heart. One of the ones that I did with, they call them AP, when we gave away the shoes to the homeless and less privileged kids. It's passionate for me because I have a big heart for the homeless. I always have. I remember on Valentine's Day, this was back in like 2013, 2014, I literally hung out with this random homeless guy on Valentine's Day. We were sitting on a corner, and he was just telling me about all his stories, and I was just listening to him. We had like a drink or whatever, and then I was just listening to him, and I was just there, and he was just like, man, I really appreciate you. And so I've always had this heart for the homeless, and so that was a really big deal to me. Biggest one for me was honestly working with this inner city football team called the Spillionaires. And last year we created a cleat for them, which that's cool for me. Like, I don't got to create a cleat. Like, there's some people that have created some shoes and stuff that are out there, but I'm like, not a lot of people create cleats. And I'm like, it's passionate for me because I played football, and me being able to actually bring the shoe, and people are like, whoa, this is actually real. You really did this. It was cool because I was one of the coaches on the team too, And so I literally had some of these kids come to my house, hang out with me, hear their stories, hear about how some of them, their dads were murdered. And I remember one of these kids, just over the past couple of years, he started calling me Pops just because I was like a father figure in his life. And so he would come over and hang out with us. And I remember just asking him small questions because I was asking him, my daughter, and my son a question. And he was just telling me a little bit more of his story. And I was like, man, I'm not just the cool coach. I'm not just my son's dad that coaches. I'm not just teaching them football. With the conversations that I have had with them and me being able to even give some of these kids just shoes, they don't pay for nothing. I'm like, here, just take them. It's one of those things that just feels like the treasures of the earth again, where literally I'm able to give back and even pour into these young men in their mindset. So hopefully that they can remember something that I've said, carry it with them, and drop those same gems to the next generation after them, or their sons or their daughters. And hopefully that some of those young men will end up becoming great men in the community and also changing other people's lives, and that they just remember some of the words that I say. That's what I tell my son all the time, is that more than anything, just remember the words that I say, because if I'm not here tomorrow, just remember the words that I'm telling you, and you'll be okay. But that was probably like the closest project to my heart, just because I love those boys. They're literally like nephews and sons to me.
Let's talk about some of your darker times where you felt like you were gonna quit. You said your wife was a big, we'll say, backbone that kept you going through that. Can you share with the people, or share with somebody who's maybe listening, a story that might trigger them not to give up?
Just being completely upfront and honest, I've actually struggled with anxiety and depression since I was 5 years old. And even when I would tell like the people from my parents' generation that, no, this is what I got, they would say like, don't claim that. Don't say that about yourself. And I'm like, no, this is just me being real. And I'm like, I'm not trying to allow myself to be comfortable in it, but I'm just saying this is what I'm experiencing. This is what's going on. This is what I'm dealing with. And so I've had to learn techniques to be able to get myself out of that frame of mind, or that atmosphere of that mindset. And I remember it was actually right before I actually met my wife. It's funny. The story is actually quite hilarious. I was actually going through a really hard time, a really bad breakup. And I literally gave this woman like everything, and she cheated on me, and she hurt me like really, really bad. I loved her kids and all that type of stuff. And then COVID came, and I'm like, oh man. And so COVID came, and just being there in that place as far as a change happening into my business, and a change as far as me no longer with this young lady, and then trying to, I guess, find myself again. I happened to see her on Facebook, and I was just looking through her profile. I'm like, okay, she seemed cool. I'll add her. And it was her birthday, and I messaged her, and I said, hey, happy birthday. She didn't message me back. She just read it. And then it was like maybe a couple days later, she ended up hitting me back and saying, thank you for saying happy birthday. And I asked her what she was doing. And then we had this inner, like, we just kind of messaging each other back and forth. I would crack jokes and whatnot. She would crack jokes back. There was this one specific one. She posted a picture about like the moths, because during the summer the moths are really bad in Colorado because of the fires. And so she posted this picture of this big old moth, and so I started making a joke about her being a moth woman and how she's the one who summons all the moths to come around her or whatever. Stupid joke, but she loved it, and so we would always like go back and forth commenting on posts about it, and nobody else would know what we were talking about. And so we were literally just building a friendship, because she actually friend zoned me because I asked her if she was single. And she was like, oh, no, I'm talking to somebody. And I was like, okay. And then literally it was probably might be about a month or 2 months later, as we were messaging back and forth, I was just like, are you for real single? I mean, are you for real in a relationship, or do you just tell people that just so they'll leave you alone? And she's like, well, I'm in a relationship with Jesus. I was like, oh, here's that line. And so pretty much we just kind of just kept it really just cool and casual, and we met up, and she just was just absolutely amazing. And but the dope thing is that she knew that where I was at, she knew about everything as far as what I went through, and she knew that there was probably even other things that were deeper. And so even with some of my triggers and my traumas that I went through, she was patient, understanding, and loving, and even caring enough to even point it out and be like, Steve, this is affecting you, and it's not healthy. Where for me, I thought it was almost like a coping mechanism where I'm like, just bottle everything up and just keep moving forward. Where it's like, no, sometimes you can't keep moving forward. Sometimes that wound is so deep that you can't bandage it up yourself. It's just going to continue to bleed, that you literally got to go seek out a counselor or a therapist or something to figure out the root of this pain. And so she's been phenomenal for me in that, just because I've experienced a lot of things. I believe that I'm a really good guy at heart. And I've been hurt by a lot of people, from betrayals from best friends to mentors to people that I really looked up to, and them running your name through the dirt or trying to intentionally hurt you for whatever reason. And I've even, at one time and point, I slept in my car before. I've had fallouts with family. I've had people threaten my life before for whatever reason. And experiencing all these the traumas that we've had in our life, having somebody that is there, that is going to be patient with you, be understanding, and unconditional loving, because I still don't, we've only been married for about 1.5 years now, and so I'm still learning what it is to be a husband, specifically to her. I know what it looked like for my dad, but I'm like, I'm not my dad, and she sure is not my mom. And so I'm learning how to love her in the same, no, not love her in the same way that she loves me, but love her specifically to her needs. And even I look at it as far as a husband, my job is to help cultivate her dreams as well. And so I'm her biggest fan. I'm her cheerleader on anything that she commits herself and wants to dedicate herself to. I'm her biggest cheerleader, but at the same time, I'm like, no, if you're going to do this, then you going to do it. I don't believe in the thing as far as, oh, well, let's just try it for fun. Like, if you want to try it for fun, then there's other stuff where you could try it for fun for free. But if you're going to invest some money into this and you say that you really want to do this, no, we're going to do it, and we're going to work out, and I'm going to push you. Because when people tell me that they want something, I'm like, okay, you want it. Okay, let's see. This is how we get there. I'm going to start pushing. I don't like that. Well, then you really don't want it, because this is what it takes to actually get there to where you're actually trying to go. And so I'm learning that balance as well, as far as when it's time to be a coach, husband, friend, a mentor, and sometimes just a listener. But just having her is just the greatest blessing I could ever have. Ever.
What makes you such a giver? Because most businessmen want to do it for the money, even though people don't want to admit that. We're in America, capitalism, and even a hustler's mindset. What makes you give so much back?
When I was young, to be honest, I have this heart for people. I feel like I just had this heart for people, but over time, I've had to learn how to control, I guess you could say control that gift as well, because sometimes I could give way too much. But at the same time, then just being able to mature in that, I really feel like what makes me a giver and just unconditionally loving with people is literally just how I felt, how like God has blessed me, and how other people have poured into my life. And so when I'm looking at it, I'm like, all this stuff that people would say, oh yeah, you own that. I'm like, no, this is a rental to me. My wife, she's rented to me. one day I got to give her back. My kids, hopefully they ain't living with me for the rest of their life. But one day, same thing. They have to be given back to their creator. This stuff, this business, it was given to me. Like, so I don't look at it like, no, I own this. This is mine. I did this by myself. I'm like, no. There were so many people that were in my life that have given me gems as far as just even talking to me, giving me tips as far as being an entrepreneur, blessing me when I was didn't have any food or I was homeless, or it just any of those things. So any of those things that I look at as far as how I was blessed, I'm like, it's not my my right to be able to be like, no, I'm gonna keep all this for me. I'm like, no, that doesn't make any sense. I got this stuff because somebody else blessed me. Now it's time for me to be a blessing back, because like what does that look like, that that God give you $1 million and then you're like, all right, I'm gonna just keep this $1 million to myself. You're gonna die with that $1 million. Why? When you could literally invest into the community, invest into these kids' education, change somebody else's life. Like, I love Ward Dunn. He ended up getting I think 10 homes for single moms down in Georgia. I'm like, man, that's what it's about, because at the end of the day, you're already set. You're good. You've had your career. You've made money and whatnot. Now it's time to give back. I live by these it's three, I think I call it the 3Ds: discover, disciple, deploy. And so discover is you're discovering your talents, your gifts and whatnot, and you can make money off those talents, those gifts. Then you disciple. You find somebody else and they could work for you, they could work with you, or whatever it may be, but you're teaching somebody else and bringing out the best in them. And then you deploy them out. And so now that they're deployed out and they're doing the same thing, discover, disciple, deploy. And I believe that it is a business tactic, but it's just that's just how life honestly even goes. Like me, I'm discipling my son. I'm training him to literally be the best person that he could possibly be, to be the best athlete that he could be, to be the best engineer that he could possibly be. And there's going to come a point where he'll do the same thing. He'll have his family, he'll have his kids. He'll probably be coaching people and teaching people. So that's honestly how I look at that, and that's why that's where my heart ends up gauging from, just being giving, just because I'm like, at the end of the day, I give you $500 to borrow because you going through whatever situation. I'm not expecting it back. It'd be nice. You said that you're gonna pay me back. It'd be nice for you to pay me back, but if I'm gonna give it, I'm not gonna expect it back in the first place, just because I'm giving it, and I'm gonna end up getting blessed 10 times that anyway. So I'm like, it doesn't matter. This is just paper. It helps me get things. It helps me take care of things. But I'm like, I'm gonna get that back anyway.
Two-party question, male and female. You get to be stuck in a room with them and ask them both each 3 questions that can benefit your life where you're at right now.
The male, for sure. And I was battling in between this, because I have some heroes, historical heroes, but I believe the one that could benefit me the most right now would be Steve Jobs. And the reason why I picked Steve Jobs is because I watched the movie about him. I know that some stuff is exaggerated, but I love that guy's mindset. That I'm a big person as far as documentaries. Like, even watching that The Last Dance with Jordan, I literally watch that sometimes just for motivation, to put me back in that, gotta get back in the beast mode, gotta get back to being that when I'm there, I'm like cold-blooded, I'm ready to just kill it. And but I love Steve Jobs' mindset and how he's seen things and how he was a continuous innovator. We haven't really seen an innovator like him in a long time. And I even think that people said that he was the greatest innovator of the 20th century or something like that. And just being able to get a glimpse of what he possibly was like in that Steve Jobs movie, I just have a high respect for Steve Jobs. It was a difficult decision, but definitely him.
What be What would be the 3 questions?
The 3 questions would definitely be, how did you go about as far as honing in on the fullness of the branding from completely your perspective, your mindset, as far as how you've seen things? Because I remember there was something that he said. He literally fired somebody just because their vision as far as with the brand didn't match his vision. And he's like, no, this is who we are. This is what we do. If you don't like it, get the out. And I'm like, man, I was like, he really did that. And so he knew when to be tough, and he knew that he had something, and he didn't let just anybody come in and persuade him. Like when the people who sat on his board fired him and all that, they ended up bringing him back years later, and he took the company to a whole nother level. And so definitely about how he went about his mindset with his business, with his company. And my second question would be his regrets, I guess you would say, because I believe that sometimes as entrepreneurs, and if you look at the pedigree of any great entrepreneur, there's some obsessiveness when it comes to it. And having the balance, I guess I would say the reason why I wanted to ask the regrets is because the balance of sometimes with family and with having a business as well. Sometimes when my passion is moving and it's going, I could get wrapped up. I could go literally without sleep on my computer going just because that creativeness is flowing. But then I have to look and see that, man, I can't do that because I've got people. Literally, I've only got so much time with my wife. I only have so much time with my kids, especially my kids, because when they're 18, they're going to be too cool for me now. They're going to come in and like, hey, Dad, can I get $100? And, that'll probably be the gist of it. Hopefully not. But I understand that I'm like, I only have so much time with these people that I love and care about on earth. I can't be so focused on the grind all the time because I'm going to miss everything else. And like I said, those are the true treasures of the earth. So asking him as far as some of the regrets and some things that he would change would definitely be important. My last question would be the 3 things that he would give to any entrepreneur that he respects that is trying to come up. And so that would be with that. As far as with a woman, I would honestly say probably my great grandmother, and understanding, just asking her questions as far as about who she is, about our people, what it looked like, and just trying to see if there's any similarities there. I'm a really big person as far as history. I believe that, of course, history repeats itself. I believe in generational things as far as that there's stuff in my DNA that I may not even know that I have, or triggers or whatever that I may have, that it didn't just come on to me when I was born, that no, there's stuff that this stuff happened over time. And so I'm like, I love stories and I love history. Like, for instance, my mother, she has Native American, the Creek tribe, and the Crow tribe. And she's a teacher. She's a kindergarten teacher. She's been a kindergarten teacher for over 20-some years. So she was teaching on Native Americans. And she got a book on the Creek tribe, opened up the book, and showed me a picture. And this woman looked exactly like my mother. It was trippy. Like, it was a picture from like late 1800s. And I'm like, holy crap, Mom, this looks just like you. And so being able to just talk to any one of my ancestors and just getting their story and understanding their story and seeing how it pieces to where I'm at even now is phenomenal, because I do believe that is very important to try to understand where we come from and even understanding their stories as well, just because those are the people that, they're the reason why we're here, especially as a young black man, where some of our stories, I guess, I don't want to say we're taken away, but we don't even know about where we come from. I believe it's important. I think I've got a little bit of a, I don't know the word, but it's a benefit, I guess you could say, because I know a little bit about my father's side of the family. I could go back into, I think it's like early 1800s with my great grandfather or something like that. And I've seen pictures of these people, but I know that a lot of people have a lot of lost history and whatnot. So me being able to understand and talk to one of my ancestors to be able to understand myself even more, that would be actually really, really amazing to do.
What's the second question you would ask her?
The second question would be, because more than likely she'd be Native. How did you feel when you seen the place that you're living being colonized and taken over? Like, what were your emotions? What were your feelings? Did you feel hatred and anger? Did you want to kill them? Did you want to murder them? Did you, or were the people that you were, that the colonizers that you did see, were they loving to you? Were they nice to you? Did they treat you with respect? Did they treat you like a human being? And because I think that sometimes we could, and this is just me being completely honest, we could get wrapped up as far as the thing that actually happened and not saying that that didn't happen to everybody. Like, that didn't happen to everybody. Yes, it is definitely an issue, but some people have had some great experiences with those type of people or different other type of people as well. And so I would love to hear that. And my last question would probably be, what is the greatest thing that I could do for my family, that I could pass down to my family and my kids, that they could pass down to their kids, and on and on and on? What would it, like, with their wisdom and what they have, what they believe that would be the greatest thing that I could do to do that? Because sometimes I think that sometimes we could get wrapped up in the world as far as the physical stuff. Oh, I'm going to pass down my home. I'm going to pass down my cars. I'm going to give this life insurance money and all this other stuff. When it's like, yeah, that's stuff. And it's good to have stuff because it will benefit them. But there's so many other things. Like, my biggest thing, I'm not big on like buying a whole bunch of gifts for birthdays or Christmases or anything like that. I'm like, nah, you're going to get maybe 1 or 2 gifts because of her, of course, grandma and grandpa and cousins, everybody else going to buy y'all some gifts too. But the best thing I could give you is a phenomenal memory, because that's something that you're going to carry with literally till you're put in the grave. You're going to forget about some of these gifts. And so I've been on this big thing as far as giving the people that I love great memories and moments, because I remember those moments that I have with my dad and my mom and my brothers and sisters more than some of the Christmases. I can only name like maybe 5 gifts from like Christmases and birthday gifts for the 33 years I've been on this world. And so me asking them a question as far as what is the greatest thing that I could give to them that they could continue to pass on for generations, I think would be important.
You're a very creative person. What do you want to share with the people that you have upcoming now?
I definitely got a few projects that I'm working on for sure. We just did one with Mike Teasy that we released that it's a foam runner, a foam slide. It's really, really cool. If you wanted to compare it to anything, is like Kanye's foam shoe. I believe that's the future, if I'm being honest. I hate those red boots, the little Astro Boy boots. I was just having a conversation with one of my friends, and he's like, man, I got to get those. And I'm like, oh, they're ugly. I'm like, I understand why you like them, but they're so ugly. But I'm working on a project I'm trying to create a foam runner, and inside of it, it's going to have almost like a nylon type of sock, so it's waterproof. And in the sock, and then you're going to have strings that, of course, go in through the foam runner as well. And so, of course, that's going to make it automatically different, but I'm trying to create it as a mid-top. And so I believe in making something, of course, that's extremely comfortable. Every shoe that I have is extremely comfortable, but I have to like it. I have to actually see myself, okay, no, this is actually dope. This is a game changer. If it's not, then I'm not going to release it. Like, I've got hundreds of designs that won't get released to the public until I feel like I've perfected it, and I feel good about it. And then I ask a couple of other people, like, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? And they give me the ins and outs. I got that coming out. The I Don't Know Wave Runner, that's the one thing that we've been pushing right now. And I'm going to be dropping just a couple of colorways, but there is another one. We haven't even came up with a name for it. I've only showed a few people, and they're like, yo, that's that one. That is that one. And so I'm extremely excited about that. I've got a couple of partnerships that I'm working on right now that I'm very, very excited about. They're ex-athletes. I can't name any names until literally they sign that dotted line, but I'm excited about that. I want to work with, of course, a couple more athletes. I've been in the talks as far as with them, and there's a couple cats who are even in middle school that literally got the juice like that. Like, they're those guys. They got a scholarship, so we're in the talks as far as with that. And I haven't figured out how I want to do this yet, but I come from an athletic background, personal training and whatnot, and so I've been thinking about even creating a training program to just add more value into my brand. I'm like, I already know how to do this. I know how to make people faster, stronger, lose weight, all that other stuff. I'm like, I could literally have a training course completely free where they're just picking up gems from me, or even, I haven't fully figured it out yet, how I want to do it, because I may even be able to get on the phone with these people and keeping them accountable to their to the program that I'm building out for them. Haven't figured it out yet, but that's something that I'm working on. I am working on another boot. I have been tapping into as far as the clothing a little bit more, just to kind of feed that creative bug, just to see what I could create. And so there's going to definitely be more clothing coming out. I think that's it.
Do you have an ambassador program or an internship where people can work for you?
Yeah, so I actually do have an ambassador program. Not a lot of people know about it because I haven't really marketed it that much. So pretty much the ambassador program, it's almost like any type of affiliate program. So you would go on the website, sign up to the affiliate program, and then anybody who actually does do it, I actually allow myself to be able to do like a quick conversation through like Facebook or even Messenger if they actually have questions about it, where I'm actually giving them marketing tips to be able to actually do it. And so they would get, I can't remember the percentage as far as sales. It's somewhere in between 20 and 40% as far as with the sale. But pretty much they end up getting like a little affiliate website with their affiliate ID tag in the website, and it tracks even the people that go to the website, so that pretty much if that person who's on that website for 30 days, they're going to get the sale regardless. So it is super beneficial as far as the person who's in the affiliate program. I've had some people kill it. I've had some people just, be lackadaisical with it. I've had some people ask me questions and do nothing with it, and vice versa. But that's something I did want to offer anyway, and especially with my endorsees, that like Mike Teasy, he's killing it. Like, dude is killing it. Like, he's made quite a bit of money just as far as with me. And I found him when he only had like 6,000 followers on Instagram. Now he's got over 100K on TikTok. Now he's got over 100 and I think over 110,000 on Instagram. And so he's literally just been blowing up. And so he's been grateful to me. And we usually, when I do my endorsement deals, it's a 50-50 split. But I'm even expanding outside of music artists and athletes. I want to do entrepreneurs. I want to do other people that got something going for themselves, just to even be able to say that we partnered together and we got to do something dope together, create a shoe specifically for that person that they could always look at and be like, yo, I really got to create a shoe, and do that and create a whole campaign and market it and whatnot. I love doing that. Like, I'm working on one with these two guys. They actually do have a podcast. And we've been kind of talking like every month, trying to iron out, making sure that the project actually comes out to be the very best for them. But I like, the way I see it, I'm like, I could partner with anybody and create a dope shoe. And we're coming together as far as with my brand and your brand, and putting something together to be dope, to be able to actually give to people. But giving a story behind it as well. And so that's why I believe that the story of the shoe, the story of the person who we're doing the endorsement with is extremely, extremely important. So I love doing collaborations. That's a whole nother lane of just fun, like a playground I get to play on.
Tell the people where they can find you and spell out your brand and make everything clear where people can reach you. Spell out the brand of your company, your website, any social media, any places you can be reached.
Absolutely. My website is concreteeden.com. That's KONCRETEDEN.com. Same thing on Facebook, KONCRETE space EDEN. Honestly, if you just type in KONCR, it's going to pop right up with a backwards K and then an E. Pretty much this logo right here. And so those are the best ways to be able to stay in touch as far as with the brand, even myself. Majority of the time, I will be the one who'll be answering the messages if you message any of the social media platforms, or even if you want to do a custom shoe. That's the best way to be able to get a hold of me to be able to create that custom shoe for you as well.
I'm putting him on the spot for those who can't see this on video and you're listening. I'm handing him a piece of paper and I'm going to have him read something.
Right. When I started working for public service company, I came into daily contact with 3 of Steve's great uncles, his grandfather's brothers, Emmett, Overton, and Sam. Wow. Oh my God.
That was my father. I also met your Uncle Sam, who used to be a computer programmer for IBM. I met him in person when I was a little kid, and I went with my dad in the computer place at IBM where he used to work. I just wanted to explode your brain real quick and put it all together for you.
That's a trip, man. That's crazy. Man, that's amazing. That's why, like,
You never know.
You never know. You never know who you end up connecting with, and I love moments like this. It's one of those moments and memories I was talking about. I literally carry with for the rest of my life. That's
Yep.
a trip.
Crazy, right?
Man, I appreciate you, brother.
All love. I hope you've enjoyed my time that I have, like with Steve Mcmillon here in the studio on another edition of the Never Quit podcast. I was very enlightened. He's a very good father, wise man, can hold his emotions on his shoulder, gives back to the community. Very good man. Be sure to support him and check him out. Peace.